Yo, what is good, everyone? So today I'm gonna show you how I created this to-do app in React. So right now, here I am, and if I go ahead and let me refresh the page, you can see that it auto focuses on refresh. So now I can just go ahead and just type in anything. Let's say walk the dog, and then press enter. And as you can see, the row shows up. And let me add another one. Let's say wash the dishes, press enter, and you can see that the rows actually change color, which I had a custom CSS class to that. And then also I can add here, let's do wash the car, boom. And the most important one, let's say like and subscribe, boom. And you can see that they have 4 different colors. And then if I were to sit here and just type in infinitely, it goes to infinity and beyond. And then here we have the little X, so I can delete to-dos. And then also, if I want to go ahead and let's say complete it. So I can go here and go complete, boom, I did this. And then also, if I go ahead, let me erase it really quick, I can actually edit them as well. So if I go, let's say instead of walking the dog, let's go ahead, I click on the edit button. It auto focuses too, which is pretty cool. So I don't actually have to click into the form. I can just start typing. And let's just say walk the cat. And then I just press enter. And boom. So pretty simple, nothing too fancy, typical to-do app, but I made it with React and React hooks, and I mainly used useState, useEffect, and then I used useRef as well. So if you want to learn how I created this, then definitely watch this video all the way to the very end. And without further ado, let's hop into my code editor and let me show you how I made this. All right, so very first thing is I'm going to open up my terminal and I'm going to go ahead and type in npx space create dash react dash app, and then let's just call this react dash to do app, and let me just put v1 and then YouTube at the end. You can name it whatever you want to, but that's what I'm naming it for this example. And I'm go ahead and press enter, and while that loads, I'm gonna go ahead and wait for this, and then I'll see you once it gets completed. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and type in cd and then whatever you named your file. So mine is React To Do App V1, and then just YouTube here, YT. Press enter, and then I'm gonna go ahead and type in code dot. So if you don't have this already installed, then go ahead and just quick Google search will show you how to set it up. But this automatically opens up my VS Code editor, and then I can go ahead and start editing this. Now here I'm gonna go ahead and, since we already have VS Code up, might as well just use the terminal here. So I'm just gonna do the shortcut key. I'm gonna do Command J on my keyboard, open up the terminal, and then let me scroll this up really quick. And let me make this much bigger. And then I'm gonna go ahead, and if you have Yarn, then you already know how to do it. But if you don't, mine says Yarn start. So whatever yours says, most likely it'll say npm start if you don't have Yarn. But I'm using Yarn, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say Yarn start. And then if you don't have Yarn, just say npm start. And here I have this error that pops up. So let me copy this code really quick right there, and then go over here and let's create a new file called .env. And only do this if you have an error. If yours automatically loads up, then you can ignore this step. And then I'm just gonna go press the up arrow again, brings back Yarn starts. And this should load up the page. I have the app already running, so let me just type Y. And here we go. It is up and running with the icon. So everything's good to go. So if you already made an app before, you already know the drill. But let me just shrink this really quick. And let's go to SRC. And let's clean up something. So go and delete these 3 files right here. So I'm going to click on Setup Test, hold Shift, and then select up to logo and delete all those 3 files here. Index.css, I'm delete that too. And then let's get rid of app.test.js. And we should be solid with these 3. And let's go ahead and go to app.js, and let's clean out this middle section here. And let me just put here and be like to do app, save it. And currently we have to get rid of this logo line here. Save that there, and then also go to index.js. Let me get rid of this bottom code here and get rid of this line here, and then the CSS index, get rid of that line as well. Save it, and boom, we are good to go. All right, so pretty much this code here, we don't really need this, but let me just Command A, delete all of it, and then let's go app.js, and let me put the class name. Let's change it to do app for now. Let me save that really quick, and then let's just go ahead and create our components folder. So first thing first, let's go to src, right click this, let's go new folder, and then components, let's name it that. And inside of this folder, we're just gonna do 3 files for this project. Feel free to structure this however you like, but this one's pretty small, so I'm just gonna go and create our first component. Let's just call this todo.js. And then let's go right click components again, and let's create another one. Let's call this TodoForm.js, and then let's right click this again, and let's do TodoList.js. Alright, so let's start off with, let's see which one's the best. Let's do form first. So let's just go to form, and here's a cool little snippet you can install. If you don't have this, go to this little icon here, type in ES7 or React snippets. You usually be able to find it with that, and just install this one right here, the DS like 1.7 mil downloads. Install this one because it's gonna save your life when we start actually coding things out. So I'm gonna go back here to TodoForm. Let me get rid of this real quick. Alright, so here I am on TodoForm, and pretty much if you have that installed, all you can do is type in RFCE, and you can see it automatically loads. I can just press enter, and boom, we just got import React from React, exports it, and it creates the function here. So that's pretty clean. And now I want to go ahead and let's return some stuff. So we're going to be setting state, so let's actually go ahead and import useState here, and then underneath that, let's go ahead and just say this is the state. So it's gonna say const, and it's an array, and the first value we're just gonna call it the input, so essentially the value of the state. And then here's the function that will update this value. So let's go ahead and just call this set inputs, and then let's set this equal to useState, and for now let's just leave it to empty string. We're gonna add this later, but let's keep it there. And let's go ahead and let me shrink my side real quick so you can see it better. Now in here, what I want to do is actually create our form. So let's just go ahead and say form, tab out, and then in here, let's just call this class name equals to todo-form. Now inside of this form, let's go ahead and just create a basic input. So let me just say, see inputs, and let's say type text. Let's do placeholder equals to, let's just say add a to do, and then let's put the value, let's set that equal to curly braces, and it will be to the input, and then let's set the name equals to text. Oops, did not mean to do that. Here we go. And then let's do class name equal to todo-input. Now we're gonna add a bunch of stuff to this file, but right now let's just keep it basic, just so we can see what's going on right now. And then for the bottom, let's just put a button, and let's just say class name equal to todo-button. All right, and then in here I'm gonna say add to do. Now let's save this. Now Command B. Now I want to import this TodoForm into the app.js just so we can see it. So let's just do opening TodoForm, and then it's a cool little trick. If you press enter when it's highlighted like this, it automatically imports it. And if that didn't work for you, you can press Control Space, does the exact same thing, and then press enter and it automatically imports it. So especially if you have like a million folders and files, it just copies it up perfectly for you. So let's hit save here, and boom. All right, now the input is there, and we got the little button. So right now nothing is working, but it's just a start. Now what I want to do is go back to this form, and if you notice when I click on it, it's refreshing, and I do not want that. So let's go ahead and let's add some functions on here, and let's do the first one. Let's just go and create the handle submit. So let's just say const, and let's do handle submit. You can name this whatever you want to, but I'm gonna set this equal to e, and then the arrow function, and we're gonna say e.prevent default. So e.prevent capital D default, and then parentheses here. Now if I save this, nothing's gonna happen because we need to add this actually to the form as an onSubmit function. So I'm gonna say onSubmit equals to curly braces, and then I'm gonna put the name of the function we just made, which was handle submit. All right, so save this here, and now when I click it, voila, nothing is changing. All right, perfect. And then now underneath this handle submit, I'm gonna add props because eventually I'm gonna create, or actually I already have the components, but I'm gonna add more data into the other components, and then this is basically going to allow us to access it, and then you'll see it once we have everything implemented. But I'm gonna say props dot on submit, and then I'm gonna say parentheses curly braces. I'm gonna go ahead and press enter. Now I'm gonna say ID. Now you could use some separate ID generator or whatever you want, but for this I'm just gonna make this super basic and simple for this tutorial. I'm just gonna say math.floor, and then parentheses math.random, parentheses here, times it by, where's it at here, 10,000. So this just generates a random number within the 10,000 or less range. And again, you can use your own concept, but this is basically making it to where the chances of us getting the same ID within like the 8 choices out of 10,000 is going to be very unlikely, so we should be fine there. And then we're gonna have a text value, and I want to set this equal to input, which was whatever we end up typing in. All right, and then after this, underneath this, I want to actually set the inputs to an empty string, because right now, if I save this, right now nothing's gonna happen. Well, we need to have props. Let's pass props here. And right now nothing is happening because it's currently set equal to empty, right? So if I go here, and if I just set this to like this, save it, you can see that value's there. But let's go ahead and let's cancel that out. So let's add a handle change so you can actually see what's happening too, and then I'll add this last line of code so that it all makes sense. So let's go ahead and on the actual input, I want to add the handle change. So on here, just go under anywhere in the input, I'll just go under the class name. I'm gonna say on change equal to curly braces, and we're gonna create a function, and we're gonna call this, I'm gonna call it handle change. Call whatever you like. And then above, let's go right below this state, and let's create it here. So right above this handle change or handle submit function, let's create another one called const handle change. And then here I want this to basically say the same thing as the handle submit, except the inside code is gonna be different. So I'm gonna just say here, I want to set the input. So set input now. So now we're actually utilizing this, and I want to just set this to whatever we type in, which would just be e.target.value. So now if I save this, I click here, now we can actually type stuff in, and then I click add to do, and now it's going to say props on submit is not a function. So again, this is going to be added into our code eventually, but for right now, let me just say here, let's go ahead and say set input equal to empty string, and then I can actually, let's see if I comment this out really quick, save this here. So right now if I type in add to do, you can see that when I click add to do, it essentially makes it invisible. So if I were to take this out, do it again, you can see it's stuck. Like we type it add to do, nothing's happening. This line of code right here, boom, uncomment it. Now we add whatever we want to, and boom. Now let's actually, I'm gonna keep this line uncommented for now, but we're gonna go back to it and use that eventually. But for now, let's go ahead and let's start editing the to-do list, because now I want to actually utilize what we have in the form. So I'm gonna go back to now the to-do list. Let me get rid of some of this here. All right, so now I'm in the to-do list, and let's do the same shortcut I showed you before, RFCE, boom, to-do list created. And here we're gonna use state as well, so let's go ahead and put useState in the top line, and then also I want to import TodoForm. So let's just go ahead and say import TodoForm from /TodoForm. And eventually we're gonna import the to-do, but let's keep that out for now. And now let's go up below function to-do, and let's add our state, so const, and then the brackets, and let's say to-dos, and then I'm gonna set that to-do, so set to-dos here. I'm gonna set that equal to useState, and again I'm gonna pass in an empty array. All right, so now let's go to the actual return, and let me just say h1 here, and let's just say what's the plan for today. All right, and then underneath this h1, let me pass in this to-do form, and then let me just save it really quickly, and then let me command B, and now let's go back to app.js, and let's just straight up put to-do list now. So go here, to-do list, and then it's gonna say it's not imported. So if you don't notice, you can click on the end of it, control space, press enter, boom, auto imports, and then I can get rid of this to-do form line for now. And you can name these whatever you want to, but now you can see we got something going on here. All right, so now nothing really happening, but you can see that's there. All right, so pretty much basic. And now what I want to do is I want to create some functions in this component so that it makes us actually implement the magic of the to-do form. So here, let's create the first one. I'm going to call this add to do. So you guessed it, this is how we're going to add to-dos to our thing. So let's go const add to do. I'm gonna set this equal to, I'm just passing in to do for the parameter, and then arrow function, curly braces. And now this is some code that I got off Stack Overflow, but in short, this allows us, so whenever you add a to-do, so let me go back to the original version. If I just hit space, you can see nothing happens. And then again, add to do as well. So also if I were to do like this, mega space here, G, it's still gonna fit. So this is essentially this line of code. You don't have to understand it, but just know that this is the way that you can utilize it to make sure that if no one types in a letter, it will just not show up. So let's do if parentheses and then exclamation mark if to do dot text, and then we're gonna do the straight lines up here. So essentially that's, so it does not equal to do the text or, and then here this code, so this one's gonna be slash and then shift 6, so the up arrow, and then the other slash facing this way. Then I'm gonna say S, then shift 8, which is the times, and then $slash dot test parentheses to do dot text, and that's pretty much it. And then I'm gonna say curly braces, we're just gonna return. And then now underneath this text, or this code right here, still inside the to do add to do function, I'm gonna say const new to dos. I'm gonna set this equal to an array, and I'm gonna pass in the to do, and then also we're gonna do spread the should be 3 dots here, and then just spread in the other to dos. All right, and then here let's actually set this now. So let's just say set to dos, and I want to set the value to the new to dos. And then if you want to check out here, if I use console.log, let's see, to dos, we can see some things going on. So if I go here, add to do, nothing's happening right now, but let me do console. And if I were to add something, add to do here, and let me see why, hold up. So right now you can't see anything yet because I need to actually add this onto our to do form. So let's go here and go to on submit. I'm gonna set that equal to curly braces add to do. Now let's save this here, type in some stuff. Nothing's happening here yet. And now what I want to actually go ahead and is go back to the original form, And let's go ahead and uncomment this now. So let's go here, save this. And now if I go here, add to do right now, now you can see the second time I edit it, when I type in the code, now it's actually storing our data in the console. So now you can see, let me clear this, let me type stuff that makes more sense, because you're probably like, what am I saying? All right, so hold on. All right, so now let's be like, let's do walk the dog. And it kept all the previous stuff here. So let me just refresh the browser really quick so it makes more sense. Let's just say like walk the dog, save here, and then let's do wash dishes. So now you can see it showcases walk the dog now, and then let's just say laundry here. So now it stores currently wash the dishes, walk the dog, and you can see the ID, it's a random number. So that if we're only doing like 10 to-dos, like there's no way, I mean the chance of it matching between 1 and 10,000, it's so slim. So that's essentially this line of code right here. It's showing the ID, and then just text is like the text input. So whatever you typed into the input, here's the text here. So that's essentially what this line of code that we had beforehand, why it wasn't showing up. And then I'm just passing in all of this stuff here. And then also if you wanted to see everything, so if I just do comma dot to do's, and now if I add, let's just do A, B, C, now you can see it's logging everything in real time, which is essentially what we have here. And this is just passing it into the set to do's, and we're pushing it, the new to do's, into here. So we're essentially updating the value that way. So now you can see that visually. So let's go ahead and let me exit off here. Let's get rid of this console.log. Let me save this. And now let's create some new functions that I want to essentially add this to our to-do. So let's go to the to-do component now. And then we can come back, because then nothing's gonna make sense right now until we do this. But here, let's go ahead, let's do RFCE again. Press enter, command B here. I'm gonna pass in useState again, so let's go up to React. Let's say useState, and then let's go ahead and import TodoForm too. So I'm just gonna say import TodoForm from /TodoForm, and then we're going to actually use React icons on here, but let's just wait until I get to that point. But let's just go under function to do now. I'm gonna say const array. I'm gonna say edit. I'm gonna call this one edit, and then I'm gonna set the function name to set edit. And then we're gonna say equal to useState, and then parentheses, and then we're gonna pass in the curly braces, and then I'm gonna set the ID value to null, and then the current value here, I'm gonna set this to empty string. All right, now under here, let's go ahead and actually edit the actual code here. So let's go ahead and say in the div, let's just call this. Now I have different class names, so let me actually, here, let me do this so that it makes more sense. Let me just go ahead and inside of this actual here, let's see, right here on the return. So in the first parentheses, let's just get rid of this completely so this makes more sense here. So I'm gonna say return. I'm gonna actually map through the to-do, so that way we can actually go through whatever we have in our array of to-dos. So I'm gonna say to-dos.map, and then parentheses. Now I'm parentheses again. I'm gonna pass in to-do for parameter, and then I'm gonna say index. I'm gonna set this equal to an arrow function, and then I'm gonna say parentheses. Then I'm gonna press enter. So now this is what I currently have in the code. And then here I'm gonna create a div. So let's say div, and then I want to set the class name equal to, let's do curly braces. Now here we're gonna create essentially a function that's going to check if to do is completed or not. So we'll have this on the actual form. Let me see if I have it. So actually we're gonna have this on the list. So when you'll see once we get to it, but for now, let's just keep it, the code in here, and let's just go ahead and say to do dot is complete. And if it's true, we use ternary operators. Then I want to set the class of this div to to-do-row space complete. And then colon, else I just want to keep the class just to-do-row. So this code is this code right here where it changes the background, and then it's essentially toggling it if it's complete or not. So that's that right there. And then let's just set the key equal to curly brace of index here. And now after this curly brace, let's make sure we have the closing div here, div tag, and then let's make the actual, close the div out here. And did I miss? Yeah, I put the curly brace on the wrong end. Should be here. All right, yeah. So here, class name should be in a curly brace like this. And then let me, just drag this out. You can see it. Yeah, and then key index would be on here. So I save this. They're on separate lines here, and it's sub-closed on automatically. But let me uncomment that out again, and let's make the div here. All right, so now inside of this div, let's go ahead and let's pass in the to-do text now. So I'm gonna say div, set the key equal to to-do.id, and then this was the way to know what to-do item we're actually clicking on. And then I'm gonna set an on-click function with the curly braces, and then I'm gonna say parentheses. I'm gonna set this equal to an arrow function, and then I'm gonna say complete to do, and then pass in the parentheses, the to do ID. And then let's close this div out here, press enter, and then here I'm gonna do curly braces. I'm just gonna pass in to do.text, and underneath here, now this is where I'm going to create a div for the icon. So this one's pretty self-explanatory, but let's just go ahead and create the div with the class name equal to icons. And then inside here, we're going to pass in React icon. So let me go ahead and let's do Command J, and then let's click on this plus sign. And what I'm going to do is we're going to install this. So if you have npm, do npm install React-icons. I'm just going to go ahead and say yarn add React-icons and press enter. All right, so now it's installed. Went over to now have React icons. We never used it before. It's just a way to import React icons, or pretty much any icon from popular sources without having to sit there and copy the CDN and everything from them. So let's go ahead and you can just go ahead and search in here. I can show you everything, but this one's pretty basic. So if I were to say like, let's just say exit or something like this, or actually let me do close. You can see here you can choose between all these icons here. Now I already have set icons, so to save time, let me just hard code those in so make your life much easier. So let me close this out, and now here I'm gonna say RI capital C close, capital C circle, and then capital L for the line here. And then let's just go ahead and let's just print this out first and let's see. So right now, if I save this, it's not gonna work. And actually, let's go below this and let's add the TI edit too. So it's capital T, capital E, and let's close out here. So now let's go ahead and let's see if this works. Control space, press enter. Yeah, sometimes it's not working for me when I try to import it, but for now, let me just go ahead and type that code in actually up here. So let's just say import, and we're gonna do curly braces. I'm gonna say RI close circle line. So whatever we just created for the icon, I'm gonna say from quotes React-icons/RI, and then let me go ahead and do Shift Alt down arrow, copies that line. Let's change this one to TI edit, and then just change the RI to TI. And if I save this now, let's see if it's showing on to do. So we have to actually add to do to our to do list. So let's go to to-do list. Let's go under to-do form, and let's just say to-do, close it out, and let's make sure I'm gonna hit control space to auto import for me. And then let's see, let's refresh real quick. Not saying to-do is not defined and complete to-do is not defined. So we gotta go into the actual to-dos and let's pass those in. So let's say to-dos equal to curly brace of to-dos, and then let's do complete to-do is equal to curly brace of complete to do. Save this here, refresh, and it's saying that in the to-do.js. So actually, let's go back now to to-do.js, and let's go ahead and let's see. I do need to create those functions, but also let's create it up here. Let's just destructure this. So let's do curly braces, and let's just say to-dos, comma, complete to-do. And now let's save it here. And then I mistyped something. So right now, actually, we have to create those functions, but let me see if I can comment this out for right now. Let's see if this fixes this. Actually, hold on. Just go here. Let me comment this out for 1 second. Save this right now. So complete to do is not defined. So we actually have to create that function. So might as well just create this right here. So let's just go ahead and say const complete to do. Then I'm set this equal to an ID. I'm just passing in. You can name this whatever you want to. And so the arrow function here. And then I'm going to say let updated to-dos equal to to-dos.map. And then in parentheses, I'm going to say to do. And then another arrow function here with the curly braces. And I'm going to say if the to-do.id is equal to the ID, then I'm going to say curly brace here. Then I'm going to set to-do.isComplete equal to whatever the opposite of the value is. So to-do.isComplete. So this is eventually toggling it between true and false. And then here I'm just going to return the to-do. And then underneath this curly brace parentheses, I'm going to just set the to-dos to updated to-dos. Now let's save this here. And now let's go ahead. And when we add stuff, now you can see we have the thing update, and then also we have a little icon action going on right here. So not much is happening yet, but let's go back to the to-do now. And let's just finish up this one. So I'm going to go ahead and on this RI close circle line, let's add an on click. So let's say on click equals to curly brace parentheses arrow function here. I'm going to say remove to do, and then just pass in the to do ID so it knows which one we're clicking on. And then we have to actually create that function too, but for now let's keep it like this. And then also class name, let's set this equal to delete icon. And now let's go ahead and let's just copy this 2 lines of code here, paste this into the second TI edit icon, and let's just change the thing from remove to do, and let's change it to set edit now. Okay, so this is updating the state here, and then in parentheses you're gonna say curly brace. I'm gonna say ID, set that equal to do.id, comma, and then let's set the value equal to do.text. And then here let's just change this to edit icon. And now what it's gonna say is gonna say remove to do is not defined. So let's go over to up here. Let's pass in remove to do. So let's say remove to do here. Let's save this here, and then let's see. I don't have the function, so I don't think it should work, but let's see. Yeah, right now nothing's happening because saying remove to do is not a function. So we gotta go now to to-do list, and let's just put it in between the add to do and the complete to do. So right here, I'm inside to-do list in the middle between these 2 functions. Now I'm just gonna create this function here. I'm gonna say const remove to do. I'm gonna just pass the parameters, call it ID, name whatever you want to, and then arrow function, curly brace here. Then I'm gonna say const remove R, so short for array. So this equal to the brackets, and we're gonna pass in the to-dos, and then we're gonna say dot filter, and then parentheses, and I'm gonna pass in to do as the parameter, and set this equal to an arrow function, and then I'm essentially saying to do.id, and if it does not match here, so print exclamation mark equals the ID, and then here I'm gonna set the to-dos to the removed R. So this essentially is checking to see in the actual array the to do, and then it's going to basically remove this from the application. So if I show you here, type it in. Right now it's not working because we have to actually pass in remove to do here. So let's go ahead and say remove to do equals to curly braces remove. Let me see. I cannot type today. Remove to do, and then let's save it, and let's see if it works now. So boom, it vanished like magic. Now click on edit. Nothing's happening on the edit because the edit function is not created. So let's go ahead and let's actually create that. So let's just put this underneath. Let's just do this under the remove to do. So outside of the below the remove to do function, let's just call this const update to do. And actually, let me put this below the let's put this below the add to do function. So let me put some more space. You can see what's going on. So here's the add to do, and then here's the remove to do. Let's put it here, update to do, in between that, because the code is fairly similar in terms of the logic. So let's just say set this equal to parentheses, and then let me just call this, let's see, let's just say to do ID, and then let's just call this new value. So that's equal to arrow function curly brace, and then we can just copy this code up here, because when we update it, we want that same logic where if you type like a space or something, nothing actually, then it won't actually update the to do. So then it's under here. This is the main code here, just saying to set to do. So now we just update the state of the do's by setting it, and let's just say the previous, so pref for short, arrow function. I'm gonna say previous.map, and then in parentheses I'm gonna just say item for the parameter, and then passing in here, and arrow function parentheses I'm gonna say item.id if it's equal to the to do ID, and that's true. So whatever we clicked on, if it's true, ternary operator here. And I don't know how to get rid of this little pop-up. All right, yeah. And then after the ternary operator, I want to set it to the new value. And if there's no value, just set it back to the item. And then let's save it here. And now it's going to say to do is not defined. So let's see, where am I missing this out? Let me actually go below down to here, and let me add this update to do function. So let's say update to do equal to curly brace of updates to do, and now it's saying it's not defined here. So let me see, what line is that on? 19. Oh yeah, I need to change the do to new value, and then also here this one should be new value here. Save it. Let's test it out, see if it works now. So right now it's not working yet, I believe because we need to add, let me go to do actually, and here let me add this. So currently we have this edit state. Now let's go ahead and let's do submit. Let's create a function called submit update. So let's just call this const submit update. It says equal to a value, just passing in for the parameter, and then the arrow function curly brace, and then I'm going to say update to do, and then I want to pass in edit.id, and then comma value, and then under this I want to set the actual state. So set edit parentheses curly braces, and we're going to set the ID to null, comma, then the value just to empty string. And then here, let's go underneath this function and say if edit.id is true, then we'll just simply return the to do form, and then we're going to say edit equals to the edit, and then on submit equals to curly brace submit update, and then close this out. Sub closing here. I think I have to do form imported. Let's see, update to do is not defined. Let's see, where do I add this? Yeah, I need to add it up here to my right here. So let's say update to do. Save it here. Now let's test it out now, see what happens. Boom, add to do. Actually, let me type something that makes more sense. Okay, boom, edit this here. Perfect, and then we see here, and then close it out. All right, so now the functionality is pretty much, it's already there. There's just certain things I need to refactor the code to where it actually looks way better, and plus you notice the to-do is a different color, and then also you notice whenever the thing is, it automatically focuses on there. So let's do that now before I add the styling, just so that you can actually see this. So let's go to the to-do form. So I'm gonna go to my to-do form, and now what you notice right now, the focus, meaning like it's clicked, isn't currently on the actual input, and then also when you go to edit it, it's currently not focused either. So I want to make it to where I don't even have to click anything. I just refresh it and it's automatically there. And then also when I click on the update to do, it's there too as well. So this is simple. We can use another hook. Actually use two. Let's go to the top and just say import useEffect, and then also let's import useRef. Now these are pretty simple, but let's go up below the state here, and let's just type in const. And I'll just name this input ref so you can understand it, but feel free to name this focus or whatever you want to call this. I'm gonna set this equal to useRef, and I'm gonna set the current value just to null. Now under here, I'm gonna say useEffect. Okay, now passing in the parentheses, we're gonna set an arrow function, curly brace here. And what I want to do is set input ref dot current dot focus. Now, if you look up useRef, you probably see a bunch of code tutorials, which is pretty much the same code here. But this is essentially allowing you to focus on whatever you put as the ref. So now, if I go down to here to the input, let's just go below the on change right there. Press enter, and I set ref equal to curly braces of input ref. Save it here. Now you notice when I just refresh the page, it's automatically already there, so I can just go ahead and start typing and nothing happens. And then also if I click on the edit, it automatically does the same thing too, which is pretty cool, pretty dope to do, and wasn't that complicated to actually add in the code. And now let's go ahead and let me go back, Command B. So in terms of functionality, most of it is there already. There's just a few things I need to actually update, but for now, let me add the CSS, because right now nothing makes sense, and you're probably wondering what's going on. Let me just go ahead, and I could actually type this out, but let me just copy this from my GitHub. So let me just go here and paste this in, and then just save this here. And now you can see this code here. Now, if you want that, I'll put the link to the CSS file in the GitHub below. Or if someone wants to just copy it in the comments section, that'll make your life so much easier. Actually, I might do it. We'll see. Either way, I'll have it to where you can actually get this code. And let me go through really quick, because there's some things you notice. For instance, like this color coordination where it's showing different colors per row. So right now, it's typical just Flexbox and typical CSS, but the main difference is on the to-do row, which is essentially the row with everything inside of it. I used and the child, and then I did the for n plus 1. So think of this as essentially 0 plus 1, so 1, and then 1. So now 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 would be, was that 8, 9? So then if I go here, so on the 9th one, it would be blue again. Let me see, yeah. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So you get the math here. It's not too complicated. You can look into it more if you want to, but that's essentially how I colored the rows different colors, and then the rest is just basic CSS. So nothing too complicated, but that's just a little quick explanation on that, just so that in case you're like, how the heck did I do this? So right now, here's our current thing. We got X works, add to do works here. The closeout part too, also for the complete, the toggle, that was up here, just line through passing here. which is, let me see if it's on the, I think it's on the to do. Yeah. So if to do is complete, I'm setting to do row plus this complete class. And then that's pretty self-explanatory. So in terms of functionality, most of it is working. The only issue is the one is I want this to be a different to do. And then let's see. Yeah, that's the main part. And then also, yeah, I think that's pretty much the main concept here. Now let's go ahead and let me show you. This one's not too complicated because we have most of the logic already here. But let me go ahead and let's go to app.jsc. Everything's good here. To-do list looks good here. And then let's go to TodoForm. All right, so here's where it's not too hard to understand this, but here, let me show you really quick. So pretty much we need to create an edit. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna go to the top of the useState, and then instead of saying just empty string, I'm just gonna say props.edit, and then ternary operator, I'm gonna say props.edit.value, and then colon else empty string. So here, let's go down and let me show you how I added the separate update input form here. So in case you want to have different styling. So pretty much it's pretty simple, but you do curly braces, and then we're gonna check if the props.edit, if it's true. So turn your operator here, and if it is true, I'm in parentheses. I want to return this entire code. So let's just go ahead and say Command X and paste it in the parentheses, right? Now, if that's the first part, so saying if it's true, and then I'm say colon else, I'm gonna say parentheses again, and I'm just gonna copy and paste the exact same thing again. So now you can notice that it's basically saying if you're editing it, I want the input form to display the updated input form. So I can change this to say update your item, and then let's just change, let's see, instead of saying add to do, let's just say update, so you can see what's going on. Let me save this here, and let's see what's happening here. Yeah, we have to wrap this, so let's go ahead and let me put some fragments in between these. So on top of the input, and then below the button, and then I need to do it again here. So on top of the input, and then below the button. Save this here, should work now. All right, so let me just add random to do, and then I click edit, and now you can see the update, it changed here. So now that's super simple. And then now all I want to do now is just add the class names to here. So let's just say on the first to do input, I want to add the edit class name, and then for the to do button, let me add edit here. Let's save this, and let's see what's happening here. It's saying that these are closing tags. So what happened? Did I exit off something? Yeah, I guess this random button tag just popped out of nowhere. That's weird. All right, check it now. All right, so see here, edit. All right, perfect. Now we got the new custom styling here. And then for the second one, let's just keep it as same here. We should be pretty solid there. And then let's go to, let's see. Actually, let's test it out, make sure everything's working. And let's see real quick. So enter. So let me clear this out. So now let me just go ahead and refresh the page. Focus is automatically there. Walk the dog, press enter. Works fine here. Let's just say clean car, boom. Completed toggle works here. Exit off. And then let's go to edit. It saves the current value here. Oh yeah, that's one thing I want to show you the code. If you don't add this up here, like if you just set this to an empty string, let me just Command X. And then if you just type in a to do, you try to edit it, it's gonna clear it out. It's gonna set it to an empty string. So that's why I have this code here, so that I wanted to set it to whatever the value is of the to do, so that you don't have to retype. And plus, like if you have like a million to dos, it's gonna be really annoying to figure it out. And then we say edited to do. So pretty simple. Nothing too crazy. Feel free to refactor this code, make it a lot better. There were some things I wanted to add in terms of customization, but it's probably gonna take me way too long. very simple app. But in terms of the actual code React, this is basically it. Nothing too crazy. So if you did enjoy this video, go down below, hit that like button, subscribe. Go ahead, let me add this up here. Like and subscribe and comment below. All right, let me know once you completed that. And then also, if you are new to the channel, I'm pretty much documenting myself learning code and just building stuff and sharing it with you guys. So if you do want to follow me along that journey, then definitely subscribe to the channel. And aside from that, I will see you in the next video. Peace.